Hi guys, it's Carissa. I just had an appointment with my gynecologist and it did not turn out the way that I guess I expected, or at least it caught me off guard. So I'm going to make a video while it's still fresh in my mind. I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible, and I'm probably not going to be able to do it without crying. So bear with me because I feel like every video is just me sobbing at the camera. I promise my life isn't just constant tears, but I told you last that my doctor ordered, and when I say my doctor, I'm going to be referring to my gynecologist. This is a newer gynecologist I started seeing who's been prescribing me metformin. Even though he's my gynecologist, I'm not going through him for IVF, so I'm going to a specialty center, like an actual fertility clinic that specializes in fertility treatments. So they are separate, and I don't know if I've made that clear before. So during a routine visit to meet with the doctor to discuss my blood work results for having metformin, basically just to make sure that I'm not one of those in the very small percent where it affects my liver, and just generally making sure that it's okay for me to be taking it, or that I might still do or don't need it, things like that. They see their patients to kind of save themselves, the trouble of a problem every 6 months for certain medications, and metformin is one of them. So I recently went and I saw him, and that's where he brought up that he wanted to find out if I was a candidate for bariatric surgery and if he should talk to other doctors, IVF specialists, cardiologists, other doctors that he knows, to see what they would recommend, knowing that I'm in pursuit of going to have IVF because I'm 31. I'm running out of time really to start taking action on some of these things, because although I'm still young, I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know how many rounds I'll need, etc., etc. So I went there. He basically ordered up some blood work for me and also contacted these colleagues that he knows that he wanted insight on my situation from them. And they all basically agreed that I was a great candidate for bariatric surgery and it would likely improve my fertility without having to seek out any types of fertility treatments. And although I completely understand that that's the case based on my charts and my information, at no point was that why I went to see him. I have never had intentions of having that kind of surgery, and in fact, even after being told that, all it really did was light a fire in me to try and prevent that from having to happen by drinking more water than I think is even healthy to drink, and eating mostly raw fruits and vegetables most of the day, and making sure that I have a good balance of protein. But I'm really restricting myself. It's working. I've lost 13 pounds since July 15th, and I'm 5'4" and 279 pounds. So is my BMI in the high 40s? Yes. Am I obese? Yes. But I don't feel that I'm at such a weight that I really have no other choice but to have this surgery. That being said, I haven't ruled it out. I discussed it with Mike that pending what my fertility clinic says, because we want to do a contract for 2 cycles of IVF because it's less expensive to do 2 than 1. Well, it's less expensive to do 2 in a contract than 1 and then do 1 again later. So if I can do 1 round of IVF, and if it fails, then do surgery and then do the other round after the fact, I'm totally fine with that. I just have to find out if the timeline on that is even possible. If I can look into surgery and basically be convinced to do it, I'm not ruling it out. But the nurse from the IVF center that I was going to was the one who was nasty and called and said, and now mind you, she does not represent this place at all. They're wonderful there. In fact, she really sticks out like a sore thumb because of how nasty she is on a regular basis. And I really wish that they knew that and would get rid of her, because it would be so refreshing to not have to deal with her in the future. But basically, she is prejudiced against fat people. She's prejudiced against people who are unhealthy in her eyes in a way that they can avoid it. I totally get it. She looks like the type who's never had to worry about gaining or losing weight in any way. She looks like she's naturally thin, very athletic, just, it's never been a problem for her. So she probably can't wrap her mind around the fact that some people have trouble with it. Yeah, some people do it to themselves, but some people have actual issues. So she was just very rude and very curt with me about it, and made it sound like she was dismissing me, like, you're not gonna even be able to come here because you'll be high risk and whatever. It was not her duty to read that blood work. It just came to her by accident. That was supposed to go to my gynecologist, who, by the way, today walked in the door and didn't say a word about it. He didn't bring up my blood work once. That leads me to believe that the numbers must not have been as alarming to him as they were to this nurse. Like, she must have really, really been a stickler, because I was specifically there to discuss the blood work. Now, here's where things get weird. He walked in. He seems to know quite a bit about me. He looks at his charts before he walks in the door. So I really don't want to believe that he just forgot to look at my blood work, or that he didn't look at it, but we didn't bring it up at all. So there is a possibility that he didn't see it, or that I'm completely wrong that he wasn't concerned. But he walked in there like he had an agenda, and it was very bizarre. Basically, he came in and said, one of the first things he tried to say to me was, I'm not trying to sell bariatric surgery to you, but, and then he proceeded to sell surgery to me. It was very aggressive. It was frustrating, because when I told him that I, do what I can so far, to try and prevent myself from gaining more weight on a day-to-day basis, and that I've been successful in it up until this point, he basically was like, don't get me wrong, I'm your cheerleader on that, but it's not happening very quickly, and if you want drastic, and he used the word drastic several times, if you want drastic results and you want to get to where you need to go, and he kind of dangled the being a mother someday carrot in front of me, like, you have to do this, basically. He didn't come out and say it, but what he did say a couple of times was, he asked me how I felt and, where my mindset was on having weight loss surgery. And when I told him that it ignited a fire in me, when I heard that I was a candidate for weight loss surgery, it was like a switch was flipped, and I hated myself for even being that girl and being in the position where that's even possible. And although I realize that some of it's not really under my control, there is some of it that is. And so I thought I've been extreme in the past, but what if I go even further and I try even harder? And I've lost 13 pounds, and yeah, I've done that before and put it right back on, but I haven't lost it and kept it off this consistently in years. So after I told him that I have been working so much harder to lose weight, and I've done it, and and I've maintained it, he said, well, then what can I help you with? And acted a little bit like, then why are you here? Now that's frustrating to me, because I didn't ask for this appointment. He scheduled it with me at the last appointment I had with him. He said he wanted to follow up with me on my blood work and on the talks he had with his other colleagues and whatever. Whatever it was he felt he needed to say to me in 4 to 6 weeks. Here I am, sitting in his office, and he's acting like, well, if you don't want to have surgery, why are you here? It's like, well, because you're also my gynecologist. Like, you're not, last I checked, a salesperson for this surgery. I'm confused. And he, I told him, I said, I know that basically all my friends and family, everybody wants me to have it. Everybody does. And I don't know if that's just because they care about me, or if because they think that's really the right thing to do, or both. So many people have come to me with their opinions and concerns, and I appreciate it. I really do take it into consideration. I can't think of many people who've said that they think I shouldn't do it. Most of them say, do what you want ultimately, but I think you should really look into it. And I know that that's what most people think I should do, including my own doctor. So I'm like, am I really that far off here? Am I really wrong to think that I could just keep trying on my own? Am I really that helpless? And what is this surgery going to do to me that's so magical that I can't achieve on my own? Other than just make my stomach smaller. Can't I just eat less? Isn't that an option? Can't I just eat things that don't interfere with my own body chemistry? Like, things that interfere with insulin resistance and my blood pressure? Isn't that possible? And, he said, at one point, I must have looked upset. I mean, I didn't really know how to respond to him. And he said, I'll put you in the hands of the head of surgery at whatever place that does these surgeries in town, like the guy who does it the most, the guy who's in charge, the head guy. And while I appreciate that, it doesn't make me feel better about it. It doesn't really change how I feel. So I felt like if I walked out of there today saying, there's no way I'm going to do it, thank you for the information, but I'm not interested, he basically would have said, then find another gynecologist, because he just seemed so forward and so determined to convince me. And he kept saying things like, if you go to one of the free seminars to learn more about it and you call me, I'll either tell you, good, I'm glad you were convinced and came to this decision, or maybe you didn't quite hear that how they presented it and I could explain things to you if you were confused. He made it sound as if I wouldn't even walk out of there with the intention of not doing it. Like it would convince me enough. And even if I wasn't fully convinced, he could do the rest. And it was a different man than who I talked to last time, it felt like. It just was a very shocking situation. So basically what I did was I told him, can you please let me know if they would require me to see psychiatrists and nutritionists and a whole slew of doctors before I'd be able to have the surgery, or could I just go in and have a consultation and schedule myself for a surgery? How involved is this? Because I fully intend to go through IVF this month or next month, whenever my cycle starts. And until then, Mike's insurance is changing. I don't know if the surgery would be covered. I know because of my BMI it most likely would be, but I still don't know what I'm getting myself into. And I don't know if I'm moving off of peer pressure here or not, but I'm basically going to try and lose as much weight as I can between now and the next time I have to talk to him for any reason, and for when I do IVF, and just see what happens. If it's only another 5 pounds, it's still 5 pounds less than I weigh now. So I don't know. I guess I just feel really lost. And coming off of a 2-month-long period that kind of delayed everything only gave me a chance to lose more weight, really. I mean, I didn't feel any more compelled to do this surgery recently as I did before, but that's what's going on right now. I'm just waiting for him to get back in touch with me and let me know, if I can just make a consultation appointment, or if I have to, maybe even for insurance purposes, go through a slew of appointments with other specialists to prove I'm not crazy and that I'm okay to take this on. So that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I just felt like I didn't really know what else to say, and I just need more information. So if he's willing to do it, he said he's going to make the calls himself. Other than that, I don't know. I finally stopped bleeding a few days ago, so that's great. And I'm just waiting for cycle day 1 so that I can call the fertility center, who has still not contacted me back about the letter I wrote about that nurse, which leads me to believe it's possible that, I know it goes to like a call center first that's outside. It's like an outside facility. So it leads me to believe that they forwarded it on to someone who didn't care. That nurse herself ended up with it and hid it. Or they were just like, this doesn't concern us, so they didn't say anything. But I'm a little disappointed in that. And I'm also waiting to hear back from the financial center on what a 2 contract IVF plan looks like, if I have to do it within a calendar year, or, you know, how long I have to do the second IVF if I sign up for two, and the first one fails. So that's everything. I tried to tell that as quickly as I could and recap everything. I hope I've made everything clear. I thank you guys for your comments. Some of what you've said has really resonated with me. And it's kind of helping me to make a decision. But I'm still kind of in the same spot. So that's it for now, guys. I will update you soon.